Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we read diving into one of the most powerful and enduring novels ever written, Charles Dickens' A Tale of Two Cities. You've probably heard its iconic opening line, "It was the best of times. It was the worst of times, ... But what makes this story so unforgettable? Well, grab a cup of tea, get comfortable, and let's journey back to the late 18th century, to a world teetering on the brink of revolution. Our story unfolds across two vastly different cities, London and Paris. London is relatively stable, a place of commerce and law, albeit with its own share of grime and inequality. Paris, on the other hand, is a powder keg. The French aristocracy lives in decadent luxury, completely oblivious to the crushing poverty and starvation of the common people. The air is thick with resentment, and the first whispers of revolution are starting to blow through the streets. This is where we meet our first key character, Dr. Alexandre Manette. For 18 long years, he was unjustly imprisoned in the infamous Bastille, a symbol of the monarchy's tyranny. When we first see him, he's a broken man, compulsively making shoes in a dark Parisian attic, his mind shattered by solitary confinement. His only connection to his past is his beautiful and fiercely devoted daughter, Lucie Manette. Lucie, who believed her father was dead, travels from London to Paris to bring him home. Her love and compassion are the emotional heart of this story, a gentle light in a very dark world. Accompanying Lucie is Jarvis Lorry, an elderly, business-minded official from Tellson's Bank in London. Mr. Lorry might seem a bit stiff and formal, but beneath his professional exterior lies a deep sense of loyalty and a kind heart. He was a friend to the Manette family long ago and feels a profound duty to help them now. He represents order, decency, and the steadfastness of old-fashioned English values. Once back in London, Dr. Manette slowly begins to recover under Lucie's care. Their quiet life attracts two very different men, both of whom fall deeply in love with Lucie. First, there's Charles Darnay. He is a French aristocrat by birth, but he's so disgusted by the cruelty and injustice of his family, particularly his uncle the Marquis Saint-Evremond, that he has renounced his title and moved to London to live a simple life as a tutor. Darnay is honorable, kind, and represents the idea that a person can escape the legacy of their family and forge their own path. The second man is Sidney Carton. Oh, Sidney Carton! He's one of literature's most tragic and compelling anti-heroes. On the surface, he's a brilliant but cynical alcoholic lawyer who wastes his talent. He sees himself as a failure, a man who has thrown away all his potential. He looks at Charles Darnay and sees the man he could have been. When Carton meets Lucie, her goodness and compassion touch him in a way nothing else ever has. He confesses his love for her, knowing he's unworthy and that she will choose Darnay. But he makes her a solemn promise that he would do anything, absolutely anything, for her and for those she loves. Remember this promise. It's crucial. As you might guess, Lucie chooses the stable and honorable Charles Darnay. They marry and start a family, creating a small pocket of happiness. But the storm that has been gathering in France finally breaks. The French Revolution erupts in a tidal wave of violence. The oppressed masses, led by figures like the determined wine shop owner Ernest Defarge and his wife, the cold and vengeful Madame Defarge, rise up against their aristocratic masters. Madame Defarge is a truly terrifying figure. She sits quietly in her wine shop, constantly knitting. But she's not knitting scarves. She's knitting a secret registry, a hit list of all the enemies of the revolution, encoded in her stitches. Her hatred is personal and absolute, fueled by a horrific tragedy her family suffered at the hands of the aristocracy, specifically the Evremond family, Charles Darnay's family. For her, justice is not enough. She wants extermination. The revolution's initial promise of liberty, equality, fraternity quickly descends into the reign of terror. The guillotine, nicknamed the National Razor, becomes the symbol of this new bloody era, executing thousands, often with little or no trial. This is where our story takes a dramatic turn. Charles Darnay receives a desperate letter from a former servant who has been imprisoned in Paris. Bound by his conscience and a sense of duty, Darnay feels he must return to France to help. It's a noble but incredibly naive decision. As a former aristocrat, he walks right into the lion's den. He is immediately arrested and thrown into law force prison, his fate hanging by a thread. When news reaches London, Lucie, her young daughter, Dr. Manette, and the loyal Mr. Lorry all rush to Paris, a city now unrecognizable, drenched in paranoia and blood. They are determined to save Charles. Here, Dr. Manette's past becomes a surprising asset. As a former Bastille prisoner, he's seen as a hero by the revolutionaries. He uses his influence to try and secure Darnay's release, and for a moment, it seems like he might succeed. But Madame Defarge will not be denied her vengeance. She reveals her family's tragic history and denounces Darnay, not just as an Evrémonde, but as the last of that hated line. Her testimony, combined with a forgotten letter written by Dr. Manette during his imprisonment, seals Darnay's fate. He is condemned to the guillotine. All hope seems lost. Lucie is distraught. The family is shattered. And this is where Sidney Carton re-enters the story. He has been in Paris all along, seemingly drinking his days away, but actually observing, waiting. He remembers his promise to Lucie. He sees his chance to give his wasted life meaning, to perform one final selfless act. Using his uncanny resemblance to Charles Darnay, Carton devises a desperate plan. He visits Darnay in his prison cell on the eve of his execution. He drugs him, swaps clothes with him, and has the unconscious Darnay carried out of the prison to be reunited with his family. As Lucie, her child, her father, and the man she thinks is her husband flee towards the safety of the English Channel, Sidney Carton remains behind, waiting to take Darnay's place at the guillotine. In his final moments, walking towards the scaffold, Carton is no longer the cynical wreck he once was. He is at peace. He finds redemption not in living a better life, but in giving his life for others. The novel closes with his profound and prophetic thoughts, envisioning a better future for Lucie and her family, and for the city of Paris, which will one day rise from the ashes of terror. His final words are some of the most famous in all of literature. It is a far, far better thing that I do than I have ever done. It is a far, far better rest that I go to than I have ever known. So, what makes A Tale of Two Cities so timeless? It's a gripping historical thriller, a passionate romance, and a profound exploration of human nature. It examines the themes of sacrifice, resurrection, and the duality of good and evil. We see resurrection not just in Dr. Manette being recalled to life from the Bastille, but in Sidney Carton's spiritual rebirth through his ultimate sacrifice. The novel warns us about the dangers of both unchecked power and unchecked revolution, showing how a quest for justice can curdle into blind vengeance. Dickens gives us a vast cast of unforgettable characters, from the purely good Lucie to the purely vengeful Madame Defarge, and the complex, conflicted Sidney Carton who stands between them. It's a story that reminds us that even in the worst of times, acts of love, loyalty, and incredible sacrifice are possible. If you haven't read it, I can't recommend it enough. It's more than just a classic. It's an emotional, thrilling, and deeply moving experience that will stay with you long after you finish. What are your favorite moments or characters from the book? Let me know down in the comments. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more literary adventures. See you next time.